Now I'm here today, not as an actor really, you can hear I'm an actor because I'm loud, but I'm here today to talk about carers' resilience, sort of looking after yourself when you have to look after other people. And in a weird way, I lost a job about 6 years ago, and then I ended up being a carer looking after people. And I sort of resented it. I was in Mumbles Park and I was stuck there with my mother's limping dog and my granddaughter. And the last time I'd been in that park was 1982, and I was trying to persuade Heidi Tucker to have a martini with me so she could come back home and look at my stamp collection. And I wrote a poem about it, and it's called Mumbles Park. Out of work, I have become a carer. I do dogs, grannies, nippers, anything with legs. Today, I have my granddaughter on a trike and my mother with a limping mutt who bites toddlers. In my teenage summers, I sneaked girls in here, slippery as lip gloss, over the fence to watch the moon. Now I chase a 3-year-old round the flower beds and benches, breathless still in the breathtaking bay. Do you ever feel like that? Yes. Why me? Why me? Well, probably because there's nobody else to do it. And probably nobody else would do it half as good as you do it. Sounds like James Bond, doesn't it? Nobody does it better. Well, that's what we are, isn't it? As carers, we are the James Bonds or the Jennifer Bonds of the caring industry. Indestructible. No job too tough. No mountain too high to climb. But do you feel sometimes that you could do with a little bit of help? I know I do. I'm here to talk about resilience, or how to look after yourself whilst looking after other people. We're all carers here, I suppose. Will be, or have been, or will be cared for sometime in our lives. If you didn't do the caring, then the person that you care for wouldn't be looked after. And as we know, most caring is done by a family member. Did you know that there are 24,000 carers in the county of Carmarthen alone? And that Carmarthenshire carers support 2,000 of those. That's 1 in 12 people that might need their help and guidance. So, events like today are essential in getting the message out there to the other 22,000 people. We're here to help you if you need it. Perhaps you know someone who is a carer, then you could tell them about Carmarthenshire carers and spread the word. Well, most of ourselves don't call ourselves carers, do we? We just look after our relatives. For no money, just love and commitment. Carers save the Welsh economy £8.1 billion a year, equivalent to the NHS budget. But more and more carers are suffering from anxiety, stress and depression due to the fact that so much of their time is focused on the person that they're caring for, that they forget their own needs. Carmarthenshire carers are here to help, and all you have to do is ask. They can offer you respite care, so you can have a break to get on with your own life. They can also provide you with practical and emotional help when you have no one else to turn to. There is also a careers information service through which you can access information about the support, financial, emotional and practical, available to you. As one lady said about the care provided, they are kind to my mother and treat her with respect and dignity. But you've got to look after yourselves. You've got to be emotionally and physically fit to be a carer. It's like being a triathlete in the home. Carers' resilience. It sounds like some sort of ointment or spray, doesn't it? Resilience for carers. Available at all good stockists, only on prescription. Are you feeling tired and low, downhearted, taken advantage of, No one listening? Confused? Libido not what it was? Don't worry, we have the magic answer to all your care and needs. Resilience in spray or embrocation form. Just spray or rub in a circular motion onto the affected area, and hey presto, you're cured! Feel like a new woman? I know I do. Feel like a new man? You will do! Apply 3 times a day, just after each caring session has ended, and all your troubles will just fade away. As if. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be wonderful if the Carers Trust and Carmarthenshire Crossroads could give you a magical prescription that you could apply when times get really hard? I suppose they do that really, when they lend you a helping hand and give you a break from the enormous emotional and physical pressures that carers have. When they give you time off to get on with your own lives. When they give you time to be yourselves, knowing that you can trust them to look after your loved ones with respect and trust and dignity, so that you can get your breath back and be stronger when you go back to looking after the person who needs you most. Now, I'm not here to blow a trumpet for the wonderful work that the Carers Trust do. Well, yes I am really. They are a wonderful organisation in what I'm sad to say is an increasingly selfish and busy world. What I'm here to do, at last, is tell my own story about being a carer. Hopefully, in an entertaining way. You were the entertainment, they said. They must be desperate, I thought. Inviting me here to the home of the enemy. The Scarlets. A true do-or-die Pontypridd supporter. Why not ask Delmy Thomas? Who will win? Too busy. Too expensive, more like. But don't tell anybody. I've been round the change room earlier and I put itching powder in their shorts. But seriously, folks, I'm going to tell you some anecdotes about me and my reluctance to be an ongoing carer. Well, it all started when I got the sack from Pobl y Cwm. When all of a sudden I had time on my hands. When I wasn't busy. That's the buzzword here. Busy. When you're not busy, what happens? Other people drop their lives into your lap because they think you've got time. Or it seems now that you've got nothing better to do. You know, you may want to take up professional sword swallowing, become a Pilates teacher, open up a Welsh-speaking tea shop selling diabetic Barabreath and picker man in downtown Tidwelly. But no! To the family and others, you are not busy. Have you noticed that everybody tries to out-busy each other? Oh, I'm so busy, I haven't got a moment to myself. Everybody wants a part of me. Meetings here, conferences there. Oh, I can't, love, I'm just too busy. But are they really all that busy? Or do they just say they're busy as like a badge of honour to make them feel indispensable? Does their essential meeting, where they can't possibly pick up the kids from school or grandad from the doctors, mean that they just can't be bothered? Perhaps they're sitting in their office, reading the latest Catherine Cookson, eating a toffee crisp. All I know is that I am, perhaps like yourselves, a victim of the I'm too busy brigade. And I resented a bit. How did it all start? Well, I got the boot. Up until then, I led a too busy life too, reading scripts and counting up all the money I was earning. Now I spend my time reading prescriptions and counting up pills. 6 years ago I was killed off in the soap opera Pobl y Cwm. Mild-mannered Brandon, the granny's choice, burned to a cinder in a fire in a flat, and then clutching at his heart in his hospital gown as he suffered a massive heart attack, just to make sure. He died with his eyes open. That was very difficult to do. People still ask me if I'm going back to the show. But this was an end for me after 10 years. What would I do now? No more signing autographs outside the BBC. Now I'd be signing on. No more being chased round Tesco's by randy grannies. Now I had loads of time on my hands and no money coming in. Everybody knew who I was and wondered what I'd be doing next. So did I. It was a double death in a way. Surely Hollywood would beckon next. I waited for the phone to ring. It didn't. Then it did. Hello? It's S4 check here. Hoffech chi fod mewn sioe gyda Dudley? Do you want to be in a show with Dudley? What would you do? No. Oh no, it's a great idea. He comes around your house and he sees how bad you cook. And then he teaches you how to cook it his way. And then he has a nose around your house. What do you think? No chance. Would you like that pompous prat coming to your house? Looking round your things and emptying wheels? Seeing the state of your house? No. Another phone call. Hello. It was my agent on the phone. They talk like that, a cross between a duck and having a fortune cookie stuck in the back of their throat. Hello. Silent witness had been on the phone. Would you be willing to do 2 scenes in the nude with Amelia Fox? The money is very good. 2 scenes with the foxy Miss Fox. Lovely jubbly, I thought. Must be a sex scene. Legalize adultery to do a bit of bedroom Olympics with a posh minx for a ton of cash. Oh, okay, I said. I'll do it. Is there a lot to say? Nothing. Nothing? What do you mean? You'll have nothing to say because they want you to be a corpse. I'm a serious actor, eh? In the mortuary, cadaver number 2, who Amelia has to dissect. I'm not getting me crown jewels out by that, I thought. Then the phone went again. Hello. What about the next campaign for Welsh Water? Great, I thought. A big advert with helicopters swooping low over the Elan Valley and me in my best Richard Burton impersonation. Water essential, the giver and the provider of life. It's not for an advert. It's to play a tap. You've got to dress up as Tommy the Tap and go into schools and educate the children about not wasting water. It's a great idea, good money, and they need a bilingual actor. You are bi, aren't you? And you've got a mask on, so nobody will know it's you. I will. I'll know it's me. But one day, the phone did ring. It was my mother. I'm going on a cruise, she said. Again, I said. I need someone to look after the dog. And you are unemployed, so you can do it. Well, you've got nothing else to do with it. How long for, I said. 17 weeks. I'm going round the world. But someone might ring to offer me a great job. Very unlikely, she said. You don't know that, I said. I do, she said. Your career's over. Nobody wants an ex-soap star. Damaged goods. Never seen Lofty again, have you? And what about Dirty Den? Or the guy with the mullet from Corrie? And anyway, you were bald. There hasn't been a bald man on telly since Kojak. It puts people off, reminds them of their own mortality. You used to have a lovely head of hair. You don't know how old it makes me feel, having a son with a bald head. Yes, I do, I said. You keep telling me. And so, it came to pass that I was stuck caring for Gelly, named after Garrett, a Yorkshire Terrier that bites young girls and looks like a rat with testicles. So, I'm getting all this resentment off my chest, and it's doing me the power of good. And this is what you've got to do. Let off some steam. Right, where was I? Now, my mother didn't enjoy the cruise. She called it a geriatric prison, full of old people dying in the gym. But what was I doing for those 17 weeks when she was slurping down martinis on the sun deck and wondering how many hors d'oeuvres she could fit on a plate without seeming greedy? Running round after Gelly with a poo bag. Apologising to little girls' mothers after he'd attacked their dolls or started to mount their teddies. Blinking heck, I thought. I used to be someone. Now I'm just a carer for a psychopathic sex-crazed dog. How dare this happen to me? Things have got to get better. But they didn't. I used to have a career. Now I'm a carer. What's the difference? About 40 grand. But fair play to my mother. I haven't had to stop my life to care for her. Just a dog. She's 84 years young, but mind you, she was petrified she was going to lose her freedom when she was advised to have a knee operation 8 years ago. Sometimes they can go wrong. Sometimes when you have an operation, they can make it worse than it was before. Margaret had the op, and now she's got a clicky knee, like a metronome. You can hear her coming before you can see her. Click, click, click. And Mrs. Humphreys, well, she went private, and she's never been the same since. Swelled up like a grapefruit, it did. But she can't get her tights on now. What are you going to do then, Mum? I said. Buy a dog, she said. And buy a dog she did. From a breeder in Pondadillis with a twitch, who looked glad to get shot at him. But since the arrival of Gelly, my mother has become a new woman. She walks everywhere at least twice a day because she has to. And her dodgy knees have got remarkably better. So what's the motto of this story? Buy a dog, avoid cruises, and do something new. So, I haven't had to care for my own mother, but I was involved with caring for my mother-in-law after she had a stroke. Now, her name was Gabriel. She was a solicitor from Southampton who moved to Carmarthen. And we never, ever got on for 25 years. And now here I was, after her stroke, pushing her to the toilet and doing all her shopping. When all the bosom family buggered off and suddenly became too busy to help. Oh no, we live too far away and we're terribly busy with work. They do talk like that, like they got a toffee stuck between the back teeth. We'll come down and see her when we can. Once a year, if we were lucky. Perhaps this has happened to you. It's called being dumped, or picking up the pieces when other people decide to shirk their responsibilities, or decide that they have no responsibilities to shirk by being vague and non-committal. My wife wasted a lot of energy getting angry with her sisters for not helping at all, which is perfectly natural. Perhaps you felt the same. Resilience for her meant moving on, concentrating her energy on caring for her mother with my help and on not resenting her sisters who didn't help. But as you know, that's easier said than done. But that's, I think, what you've got to do if you want to survive. And so, what happened? Well, with the help of the wonderful National Health Service and the social services and the great care package she received in Carmarthen, she was able to stay in her own home, cared for and not frightened. And I only wish that I'd known about Carmarthenshire carers then and the wonderful help that they could have offered us. But good did come from bad. Do you find that? The bad thing was the stroke, but the good thing was we got to know and like each other. I became closer to her in the last 7 years of her life than I had been before, because now I had a commitment. I couldn't do anything else. I had to come down and sort things out. I didn't have a choice. But it hadn't started very well 25 years ago when I didn't invite her to the wedding. Our relationship pre-stroke was a sort of civil war of polite contempt and avoidance. She was rude to me, and I avoided her. I knew she didn't like me when we first met, and she told me that my wife's ex-boyfriend was a lot taller, more handsome, and richer than I would ever be. And so, this was just the opening salvo in a blitzkrieg of insults that were to hound me for a quarter of a century. Then she suffered a stroke, and everything changed. She was angry and confused to begin with when she woke up in the Heath Hospital, having been airlifted from Carmarthen, wanting to sue people for giving her the wrong drugs, and angry when it dawned on her that her body and to some extent her mind didn't work like they used to. After about a month in hospital in an intensive care ward, she made an important and brave decision. She decided to be nice. Don't laugh, you know. She said, I'm going to have to be nice. And she did say this, I'm going to have to be nice if people are looking after me. And that was the secret, really. Being nice. She was nice to her carers, and they were nice to her. She survived 7 years in her own home because of good health care, nutrition and kindness. And I can count on the fingers of one hand the number of times that I found her despondent, frightened, yes, but who wouldn't be? Stuck in a chair for the rest of your life, wondering if anyone was going to call or when the next stroke would strike you down. And this is what we do as carers, I suppose. We let our loved ones know that everything will be okay, that they are safe, that we will keep them in familiar surroundings, close to family. And this is what it's all about, really. Gay hated institutions, and the thought of being stuck in a care home, age 65, was one of her greatest fears. And looking back now, not I hope through rose-tinted binoculars, we had a lot of good times. I got very emotional when I talk about wheelchairs. I don't know why. Have you ever been emotional about anything like that? A wheelchair? It wasn't much of a wheelchair, it was an old banger. But it was our best friend was the wheelchair. And because we had this wheelchair, and she was 19 stone at the end, this meant that we could go out in the car, take up a trip around Carmarthen. And I'm sure you must have seen me over the years bombing down King Street or puffing up Jackson's Lane, Newquay or Cardigan, when Gay would say, "But Nick, I must see the dolphins!" And so, one day, we took her to Newquay, all the way to see the dolphins. And after she died, she had a marvellous funeral with the choir in Carmarthen. I got through that all right. But when I took her wheelchair back to the depot, which is by where I live in Pontypridd, I gave it to the man, and I didn't cry, but I felt like crying, because in this room it was like a cinema, and it was just full of these empty chairs with all the people who'd been sitting in them. And I wrote a little poem about it. It's called Empty Chairs. Back to the depot, 2 months after. The old black chariot never buckled. I can almost see her sat there, slippers on the plate, winging down King Street, spectacles steamed up, cagouled against the rain, handbag swinging on the bar, her good arm decreeing that I must see the dolphins. Homeless now, I take her back to her maker, to a cinema of seats that watch no film. Now, Gay was outrageous, and I'm going to tell you a couple of outrageous stories. Looking at some of you, I'm not going to tell the really bad one, because I don't want to offend people. I did it for my mother this morning. She said, "You can't tell that in Llanelli." I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "They won't like it." So I won't. Oh, I might. Anyway, she was outrageous. And I remember when she was 50, when 50 Shades of Grey came out, I pushed her into Waterstones, and she loudly pronounced, "I've come to buy porn! 50 Shades of porn!" And the shopkeepers would always be polite, though they must have felt very awkward inside. There were many shocking things that happened, and shocking things that she did. one of her friends bought her a rabbit. So, a discussion had to be had between her carers and the social services on whether this rabbit would benefit her or not. Well, they gave her a very polite no, thank goodness. Then, it wasn't a furry rabbit. Oh, you are too polite. When I did this in Carmarthen, anyway, this is not true. And then there was the nude portrait. I went down to see her and she said, "Oh, Nick, they want to do a painting of me in the nude in the front room. Do you think it's a good idea?" I said, "No, you might get cold." She stood for election and got 72 votes. She wrote her own manifesto and nobody poo-pooed her ambition, even though it would have been quite impossible for her to fulfill. As I say, it was a new life for her and a different one for us. But once we accepted it, and with the help of others, it worked. For the kindness of friends and the wonderful, as I've said, health and social services of Carmarthen, Gay never had to be institutionalised and stayed amongst her things until the end. And we did what you do. We adapted to this new situation. We didn't brood long about the others who didn't bother. With the care services help, we shouldered through. And I know I've been having a laugh, but caring for her was, you couldn't write it really, it was one of the most rewarding things that I'd ever done. My wife's father lost his wife of 40 years, 4 years ago. And he's been at a loss without her. Off and on, more on than off, he's been staying with us over the past 4 years, letting his beard grow down to his navel like Gandalf. I'm sure you've had this, but it's a little bit trying having someone else in your marriage and house all the time. And after all this time, I resented a bit, because it's getting in the way of our lives. We've never, my wife and I, been without responsibility. We had the kids, then a mother, my mother's dog, grandkids, and now this. Perhaps we've been too nice. Do you do that? You can be too nice sometimes and get taken advantage of. And he has decided that he will live with us without any consequences as to how it will affect us, in a way to impose his loneliness on our lives. Sounds selfish, it is selfish. Caring for someone in their home means that you can't escape. When they come uninvited into your own home, it's a lot more tricky. How would you ask a 74-year-old man to leave your house and go back to his own? All the rest of the family had played the Harry Houdini card, disappearing into thin air. One has even suggested that we set him up in a caravan in the New Forest with plenty of insulation and a stove like a gypsy. But what do? Is it our duty to become a reverse parent again when there is nothing really wrong with him? I wrote a poem about it. Landed. Well, that's what I do. I let off steam and then I get over it, I think. Landed. Someone has decided to stay uninvited. It flips our lives, having to put up a guest who won't go. He tries to be unobtrusive. Lingers. Nothing in it for us. Hauling weary bones towards a fire. Frittering our 50s, forced to summon up a pity we don't share. He never asked. He knew we would say no. Torched all links and numbers. Cozied up like smoke curling under our door. I can't breathe. It's a very selfish poem, but sometimes I think you should say what you really think, not to the person it concerns, but to 150 other people and a camera. But what do? We can't just turf him out. But you've got to try and put yourself first sometimes. Otherwise, you'll forget who you are, and before you know it, you'll have gone up the wall, and you will be needing care yourself someday in Kevin Collins Mental Hospital. You've got to look after number one, and ask for help from people who understand, like Carmarthenshire carers and everybody here today. Try not to put your life on hold if you can avoid it. Don't let it become a stranglehold. As they said in Frozen, let it go, let it go. Now then, to finish off, so you can go to the toilet and have a cup of tea, whatever you do, or a whiskey. Are any of you a grandparent?
Yes.
Yeah, I am. I know I look too young, but I got 3. Well, 2.5. My son and his wife have 2, with another on the way for Christmas. Now I've asked them to call it Nicholas, or Nicola if it's a girl, in honour of all the babysitting that I do. You won't believe it! Now, one of them's called Arya, a lovely, angelic, sometimes 4-year-old, and Llew. What can I say about Llew? Well, put it this way, we are considering buying him a straitjacket for Christmas. Llew is a sort of SAS toddler, a commando, a trained killer of dolls, an escape artist. No harness can contain him, no door can stop him. He can floor any toddler, well, any child under 5, with a Chinese burn or a punch to the throat. And not only that, he's really brainy. He knows what you were thinking before you said it. And woe betide you if you don't keep an emergency banana in your pocket for when he gets peckish. I've seen him clear a whole dinner queue in IKEA before now. And this is a little poem, the last one, I think you'd be glad to hear, that I wrote about him and looking after him. It's called Lovely Boy. Put down that hammer, Llew. Don't hit me again. Let's go and make mud pies out in the garden. I know you didn't mean it when you thwacked me with your ball or dropped that dumbbell on my toe in the hole. You never mean to hurt me, but often you do. And though I'm a tough old boot, don't kick me with that shoe. I've never recovered from the salt poured in my tea, or when you replaced my cordial with pee, or when you kindly gave me a slice of chocolate brownie, without explaining fully that you'd found it in your nappy. Oh, Llew, as my grandson, I love you, but I'm glad when you are frog marched gently down the path to Mum and Dad. Oh. So, I become a carer again. Usually the phone call goes like this. Can you look after the kids between 7 and 8? Oh, only an hour then? No, 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. They love being with Grandad, Nick. I bet they bloody do. 13 and a half hours of my precious time. Now, if I haven't got Gandalf with his big beard moping around my own house, now I'm running after these 2 little hobbits all day. Let's break it down. 13 and a half hours. 13 and a half hours means 4 trips to school, 6 nappy changes if I'm lucky, 1 trip to the sweet shop, an hour in the park, half an hour's horsey, when I'm the horsey and they ride me round the front room, 2 hours of twirly-woos, Mr. Tumble and the bloody Teletubbies. Then there'll be the fight at the dinner table, when I want them to eat fish fingers and mashed potato, but they throw it on the floor until they get what they want, which is pancakes with sugar and Nutella, followed by a cornetto each and a chocolate milkshake. Well, of course, all the sugar they eat drives them doolally. So, when, after a water fight in the bath, and Llew flushing his head down the toilet to see what it's like, I do eventually get them to bed, they decide that bedtime is trampoline time! And bounce around the place like Skippy the bush kangaroo! Instead of listening to me, an actor, doing it for nothing, reading them squirrel nutkin, with all the different voices. In the end, they do tire out. And after I threaten them with no chocolate ever again, they will lie down. And after singing all the songs from Jungle Book, and the sound of music, slowly and hypnotically, they do at last fall asleep. By which time I'm dead myself. Carers resilience, eh? Carers oxygen mask, more like. But then, if I was busy, I would never have this time with them. Being with them makes you think. I spent a lot of my time when my children were young doing shows in London, months at a time, away from home. And looking back, I don't think it was worth it. Missing them, growing up, doing shows to loads of people every night instead of reading them bedtime stories. We need to stay with our loved ones, don't we? Time away from them is time we can never get back. So to finish, there's one good thing, though, that's come from all this caring. It's got me jobs like this one today, where I can use my funny and sad experiences to write speeches and poems about being a carer. The ups and downs, the benefits and downsides. But if we are good to others, we must remember to be good to ourselves. To be resilient, we must share our problems with others, so we don't get stuck in a rut. Talk to family members, your local GP, friends who are going through the same tribulations as you, and of course, Carmarthen carers, who are there specifically to help you day to day in your hour of need. Good, strong caring is sharing. The work that you do and the love that you show through the care that you give is invaluable. No one pays you to do it, but this is the most selfless, precious, kind gift that you can give. Your time. And just remember, with the help of Carmarthenshire Carers, to take some time out, whenever you can, for yourselves. Like I'm doing here today. Getting paid for having a moan at you and not having to run after those flipping kids or my mother's randy dog.